Hello, everybody. It is Thursday night, and here we are with Panoramic Perspectives. I'm Elise Gianmarco Carlson, and this is
Carl L. Johnson.
If you didn't know,
Yeah.
you probably already knew if you've tuned in.
Recognize the voice?
So before we bring on our guests, we usually catch up with people to see what they've been doing, what we've been doing. I don't know about you, but I haven't been doing a lot.
Well, last weekend we had the Edgar Allan Poe Literary Tribute, and that was a lot of fun.
Yes, we did that. Oh, I didn't even think to upload a picture from that.
Oh, darn. Well, I got some on my phone. I don't know.
We can show those next
week.
Because
it's already passed, so we can show them next week.
Yeah.
We can show that clip of you. We have a video of you.
Oh, God, no, I want to review that first. I know it's there, but I wasn't looking at myself.
Actually,
it wasn't a panoramic perspective.
It's not the whole thing you did,
so
and
it came
out wonderful.
All right.
Nice.
Well, you would always say that.
But that was at the North. Go on.
You talk about your Poe thing.
My Poe thing, yeah. Well, I present two annual, twice a year, tributes to Edgar Allan Poe, who did spend some time in Rhode Island, in Providence, Rhode Island, while he was courting the eccentric poetess and heiress Sarah Helen Whitman. So we gave a tribute to him and read some of his works and dramatic recitations. It was good. Yeah, we enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, we had a good audience. A lot of people came out to see that on a cold
Poe brings people
January
out.
afternoon.
Yeah, it was a little flecks of snow and in the rain, so it was appropriately dismal. And what we've got upcoming, we have a Paracon we're going to actually called Paracon with two N's for Connecticut. And that's taking place. That's May 13th and 14th. I'm going to be doing that. It's at the Armory. I forget the exact address, but we'll update on that because we've got a ways to before that happens, and we will be thoroughly prepared for it.
Yeah, not much going on during the winter except for our show, Panoramic Perspectives, on Dead Air Full Spectrum. We're on every other Thursday night. So next Thursday night, hopefully Cody Ray and Satori will be back with their Haunted Museum show. They weren't around last week. Hopefully they will be back next week. And if you haven't already, please like and follow the channel, Dead Air Full Spectrum. They have great shows. Yes, great shows.
We're just one of those great shows.
Monsters, Myths, and Mysteries. I think they named it. It used to be Monster Mondays, but they added a few mysteries to that. And Ken and George have a show on Sunday nights. And forgive me if I forgot anybody else's show, but a lot of good things to watch on this channel. So please hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss any of that.
No, you won't be bored, guaranteed. I like watching these shows. I mean, I don't always watch ours, but sometimes I miss an episode here and there.
You have to watch it. But,
if I'm daydreaming through it.
And if you're logged on and it shows up as just a stream Facebook viewer, allow StreamYard to use your information so that we can see who you are and who has tuned in tonight. So yeah, January's almost over.
Well into the new year.
It's the 26th. Coming up this weekend, it's not really paranormal, except the house is reported to be haunted. So if you want to come around and see if you hear anything, the Johnston Historical Society, where we are now, they allow us to use their equipment here. We're having an open house and a membership drive on Sunday the 29th from 1 to 4 p.m. So you can come in and see all the artifacts in the museum, see the good work that everyone around here does. Tour our 1825 farmhouse that some people say they see someone in, and I won't even say what they see or hear because that way you can come in and make up your own mind if you do.
We don't want to influence you, but we'll tell you the stories once you're in the house.
Yeah. Well, we'd let people decide for themselves.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to bombard them with it. Now, we want to see what we have a reason for that because other people's stories have corroborated. And it's at 101 Putnam Pike in Johnston and along Route 44. Johnston, Rhode Island. Some people are going to travel. Yeah. Johnston, Rhode Island, and the Johnston Historical Society headquarters for open house.
And other than that, the only thing I've been doing is reading a lot of books. There's a great mystery series out there with two books, one called After Death and one called, oh my goodness, I'm blanking out.
But I know which ones you mean, that series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before Life and After Death. I can't remember exactly what they're called. I will look that up right away because they were fantastic. They're very good standalone detective stories, each on their own, but they're written by a parapsychologist and two authors. And the way the story is told is from the point of view of a police investigator and also a parapsychologist. So you get those, and there's psychics thrown in, and you get that those differing viewpoints on how different people see activity that may or may not be paranormal going on in conjunction with some sort of a criminal activity. And I won't give away any of the story, but
well,
it's a really good overview of how these things work together and how they're different.
And in an overall sense, while they are fiction, they're also predicated on real investigations, real investigatory techniques and things that actually happened.
Yes, the latest one, Afterlife, is actually based on a case that Lloyd Outback was involved in. And, the names have been changed to protect the innocent, and the story was changed a little bit, but the whole basis is the same. I really, really enjoyed them. I mean, they had asked me to read in preview, which I was happy to do, but I really enjoyed the book. And because usually I read nonfiction.
Yeah.
I don't read a lot of fiction. Actually, right now I'm reading Secrets of Remote Viewing by Joe McGonigal. So I like to read a little bit of everything. That was one I had downloaded on Kindle. So reading good books lately?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm trying to catch up. Whatever you recommend, and if I find it on,
all right, there'll be a quiz on remote viewing.
If you send a link over, I know something about remote viewing. I had some remarkable experiences back when I was on the island in Puerto Rico, which first convinced me that it's a real phenomenon.
Could be.
Of the mind, but yeah, and going beyond the mind.
So I think that's enough about us.
I could go on about us.
I know you could. That's why I'm cutting
you
off.
You got to shut me off sometime. Yeah, but it's about enough about us. The play is the thing. We have two remarkable guests here, not just one. Usually we have a remarkable guest, but tonight we've got two, and they work together. They are something of a paranormal team, and they are Sue Vickery and Deb Vickers. Not interchangeable, but at V's.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. Hi there. There they are. Hello. Now we got the names right. Okay. The right panels. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us tonight, accepting our invitation. So you two, you're established on your own, you're individuals, but you also are known as something of a duo, a team, and you've worked together as docents in the same places. I think just talking about your experiences as tour guides and docents for the places you were in is fascinating enough without getting into any of the paranormal aspects, but we will do that. You have both worked at the Lizzie Borden House in Fall River, Massachusetts. And that's, I don't know. You knew each other before then? I knew you before then. Oh, look, there we go. The Lizzie Borden House.
There it is. Oh.
So pretty.
And you were also at Maplecroft House, where Lizzie Borden spent the second half of her life in, relative normalcy.
Yep.
Yeah. And then she lived the lifestyle that she wanted to. Not ostentatious, but comfortable. So, do you find these residences or former residences, are you more interested in their actual history or what's happening now as far as paranormal manifestations that people report? Can't have.
Well, I feel like it's both. It's both, and they always go hand in hand too, the history and the paranormal, and we're fascinated with both. So
yeah, definitely both.
I think it's kind of both.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
History blended, and you can't have the haunting without the history, because that gives it its, something happened at one time that went off-roading. Things were suddenly not normal in the first house in what's now the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast, Lizzie Borden House. It was never really normal because the family wasn't, if there is such thing as a really normal family unit, but they were beyond eccentric, and of course the key figure in that is Lizzie Borden, her father Andrew Borden, and the infamous murders. And I believe that was August 4th, 1892.
Yes.
Those murders transpired, and they certainly weren't accidental deaths. Somebody did come in and hack to death Abby and Andrew Borden. And of course, we get that notorious rhyme. My grandfather on my mother's side, he lived not too far from there, actually a block away. He could remember hearing children chant. He was 4 years old at the time. He could remember children chanting, Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her father 40 whacks. And it's she, I think, gave her mother. The mother died first. So, wow. And how did you first become involved in these houses? Not precisely at the same time. You didn't both become docents there together.
No, Deb
No, it's
first.
funny because we were just talking about this last night, how we came to work at Lizzie's. So back in the day, I used to homeschool my daughter, and we would go to the Cumberland Library. We'd pick out our little videos, educational videos, and I saw the Lizzie video, so I grabbed that. And I was telling Sue, it was funny when I watched the whole thing. I was fascinated because I'd always been fascinated. And at the end, they talked about how she left a large portion of her fortune to the Fall River Animal Rescue League.
Yes.
And I just burst into tears, and I just cried and cried. I just felt like so connected to her. And then years later, the girls and I, we used to take our little paranormal road trips. It was a cloudy Thursday in the summer. And I said, let's go to Lizzie's. I had always wanted to go my whole life. And we went, and we had a private tour, and they had a sign up that said tour guides wanted. So I applied. I got my little script the same day. I went back, and I did some training and became a tour guide there. But I said to Sue, it was weird. It's almost like the universe led me there. Like I was supposed to be there. It was one of those times,
You already knew Lizzie was no bad. She had a good side to her.
Oh yeah.
So
she did.
When you were in the library and you saw that video and you took it home, I mean, you said you already had some sort of an interest in the whole Lizzie story. Did you have any in the paranormal aspect of it? Or just, as in the historical history, this happened in history and it's an extraordinary story. Did you already have an interest in the paranormal at the time?
I did. We were very fascinated with it. And we used to that was actually one of our little paranormal road trips that we used to take. So we did have an interest in that as well. And the history. So
what sparked the interest in the paranormal even before, considering going to visit the Lizzie homestead?
It's funny.
Interested in it.
Yeah, I had been interested in it, my whole life. But my daughters were the ones that really got us going. They started me watching the shows, and then we would go off to all the little haunted locations and things like that. And then, we started our own paranormal group, DLH, which is Deb, Laura, and Heather, which are my daughters. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What about you, Sue? How did you get started, like just being interested in these kinds of things?
Well, as far as Lizzie Borden goes, I mean, I still live in Fall River. I was born here. So, I grew up hearing the story. The cemetery was like my backyard. We used to dare each other as kids to touch her grave. And, then in 1975, Elizabeth Montgomery movie came out.
Yes.
The Legend of Lizzie Borden. I mean, we drove by the house every day. I was always fascinated with it. Yeah. And then as years went by, it started to open to the public. Well, I went in once when the McGinn family owned the house, but then later on, Leanne and Donald purchased it, and my friend Robin began to work there. So she ended up getting me the job there. So like Deb said, it was like I was always destined to be connected to Lizzie Borden.
Yeah.
It seems the house pulled both of you in and didn't want to let you go.
It really did.
Of course, Lizzie moved out years and years and years ago, and those owners that opened it up to the public, that was a long time after. The families that lived there in between, were there people reporting things going on in the house, or did they even know they lived in her house?
Yes, they did.
What murders took place, and did any reports?
Yeah, I believe John McGinn purchased that house in 1948 or something like that.
Oh, he owned it for a long time.
Yeah, he owned it for a long time, and he owned Leary Press, which was connected to the house.
Oh.
And I used to work across the street from the house. So somebody from Leary Press would always come into my work and talk about how haunted it was.
Oh,
yes.
Interesting.
We already have a comment. Somebody feels that, she felt bad for Lizzie. She was made a spectacle of in life and in death. Still is a spectacle. And maybe she got a bum rap, but she is notorious. And I think people, in general, people are inclined to be sympathetic toward her memory now.
Yep, I am.
And we can't know if she committed murders. It seems implausible that a woman who was somewhat cultured and an actress, and that she would do something like that. I mean, a frail woman of the late 19th century, but we don't know. And we can't know. There's just not enough evidence and information left. There's a lot of evidence that points towards she did commit the murders. My own opinion is probably not, with everything I've studied about the house. But did you have a good feeling or like uneasy there? Or how did you feel? You feel like you were being watched? What was the sensation, both of you, of being there so much in the Lizzie Borden house?
Well, that's I took the job for the history, I wasn't even thinking paranormal until I started working there and different things began to happen around me. And that's what piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I didn't think you went there for the thrills of it, like, oh, we're going to see a ghost,
No, I didn't even think ghosts, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always felt so comfortable there. It was like my second home, like walking into my grandmother's house. And I just, it was just, I always felt so good and like just so connected to the Bordens, and they became like our family. And you did always feel like you were being watched. There was always somebody there with you. You were never, in that house alone.
No.
Do some of the guests have not so nice experiences? I don't know if it has anything to do with attitude, but sometimes with houses that have a paranormal infestation, a haunting, people come in with a lousy attitude, or say, "Oh, I don't care. I hope something grabs me or something." Usually, they don't have such a good experience.
I think disrespect brings about activity. I think.
Yeah.
Welcome activity.
Yeah, it's not always a good thing. I mean, it's like going to somebody's house and like, I don't know, throwing food on the floor. Of course, you're going to get a reaction out of them,
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you? Your visits to Lizzie Borden house? Did you have any activity happen? Or?
No, I did not. No, I've had strange feelings, but then again, I crouched down in the spot where Abby Borden was murdered. So of course I was going to feel something then. I heard some knocks on the walls, but not anything that, seemed to be answering me. So I did an overnight there, and I've been there several times. It was just interesting. You couldn't help but, get caught up in the zeitgeist of the house, the setting. Of course I felt something, but I experienced anything what I would call overtly paranormal activity. I did not. I've talked to plenty.
Not on a daily basis. Yeah.
No.
Right. That's the thing. It's not going to happen every day when you're in there.
Yeah. The more time you spend, the more apt you are to have something.
Yeah. I only visited once, and actually I went with this group, and it was a fundraiser. I didn't see a thing, and they wouldn't give me my money back. No, I was paranormal had a fundraiser for Max the cat's vet bills.
Yeah.
and
then Max pulled
I went
through
that
after
night, and it was just great to be in the house. That was the best part about it.
You have that standard picture of you on the set.
Me with the holding the axe.
Yeah. And Sue has that picture too. Of her there.
Oh yeah.
Oh my! Now I was acquainted with a psychic. Actually, I met her there. She played Bridget, the maid, a psychic medium who was in residence there. Working there for some time. She told me some inside stories that were fascinating, and I know they were legitimate. She said most of it happened in the basement. This was Paula. You may or may not have known her. And
I don't think I met Paula.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Paula O'Brien. But yeah, she filled me on what some guests had experienced and what she had. And she said, mostly it's the basement. People say it's the bedrooms, and you can get things happening in the bedroom, but most people get freaked out when they're in the basement. And that was not part of the standard tour either. Some people would be allowed to go down to the basement, especially paranormal investigative groups, which I was part of.
We've got a few people that show up on here as Facebook user. If you can figure out how to let StreamYard in on your your identity, maybe we can figure out who you are also, because you've got some really great things to say. I've always felt watched in Emma's room. Sue, do you remember when Lizzie said happy birthday to me in the sitting room?
And
So if you know who was
It's got to be Nicholas.
Emma was the older
Nicholas.
sister.
Nicholas,
Yes, I remember.
not worse to use.
And I saw
Yep,
another
it is.
question come up. Somebody wanted to know if we thought that Lizzie her energy was trapped there. Well, no, I don't think that at all.
Sorry, I clicked on it twice.
She was at Maple Cross, so she's not trapped. She's where she wants to be.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that Sarah refers to her as Lisbeth, which Lizzie
Yes.
wants to be called.
Hmm.
And what else did I see in Emma's room? I've always felt. Oh wait, that's not that. I'm sorry, I already did that one.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Let's see.
Sorry.
Visiting the house is on my bucket list. Are there any particular things that people overlook that you would like to draw attention to?
Wow.
Any things that people just don't look at in the house, and you're thinking, well, this is, most active or most interesting.
If you could
Can you
say
think
you
of anything?
fell on the stairs, you don't know if you were pushed. That's something to try.
Yeah. I mean, historically, if you're there to try and figure out who did it, then
Yeah.
pay attention to the room sizes and know that all those doors were locked at the time, Get a good look at the layout of the house that you're really not doing when you're on a tour, you're listening to the tour
Right.
guide, but look
Yeah.
around you,
Mhm.
Oh,
That's excellent
Yeah.
advice. Yeah.
and you start shutting the doors and you start getting in trouble by the tour guide.
Yeah. Well, don't shut those doors down.
Mentally close.
That is Elizabeth Montgomery Ward. Don't touch it. Yeah, but I think your mind, the computer in our minds, will create the scenario, and you try to review it and say, what could have happened?
Right.
What might have happened in some aspects?
Hmm.
Yeah, so many theories. Oh my goodness.
So,
So many theories as to who, what, why, where, when, and how. I mean,
yeah.
just
Well,
any one of the, a lot of them just stand on their own as making sense. And, it's so hard to compare.
well, it's like with Jack the Ripper. It's no longer living memory, and you can read a whole scenario. It's like, nah, that had to be it. That's who did it. That's who did the murder or the murders. And then you read somebody else's account or somebody else's, scenario of it, and you can think the other way. Like maybe I shouldn't have thought it that way. Well, with Jack the Ripper, we won't know. Like that, it's supposed to be like case solved. It's conclusive who did it, and yet there are at least 4 contenders as to who could have been Jack the Ripper, including an artist who.
And to learn more next
Relocated.
Monday night.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There will be a what time is their show on? Oh, they're going to be on at 9 o'clock from
They're 9 to
now on,
10.
I believe.
Yeah, they've
They're going to be
switched
doing a
to
show on Jack the Ripper on Monday night, so that would be very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, we've got to get to the bottom of these things. We've got to find out all these, suppositions.
Yeah, but then
Who
once we
did it?
figure it out, that's it.
Actually, I wasn't going to ask this, but can I ask you, do you, Sue, do you have a theory? Do you have an idea? Do you have any opinion on who was responsible for the murders in that house?
Well,
President
these
Sue?
murders were very personal.
Yeah.
It was no outsider. It was no hired killer. They
No,
would
it
have
was
hit you
not
once
gang.
or twice. Yeah. And like I alluded to earlier about the layout of the house and the doors being locked,
Right.
I'd have to say it was definitely an inside job.
Mhm. It wasn't just random, spontaneous. Somebody went berserk and started hacking. They planned
Not
it.
an hour and a half apart. No.
No.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm. And there was a string of incidences that, where was the constabulary? Where were the Fall River Police Department? They were at Rocky Point for a picnic,
Right.
Definitely.
And they didn't have today's technology. I
Right.
mean, there was no visible blood footprints leading somewhere or anything like that. They couldn't spray luminol back then.
Right. Yeah. Now you can buy it on Amazon.
Yeah. Deb,
Fun fact.
do you have a favorite theory? Opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I do think she did it. It's funny though, because for the longest time, I always used to say she couldn't have done that. But it's different, like Sue said, once you see the layout of that house, it gives you a better perspective.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see that, yeah, she probably did it. And then the other interesting thing is if you read the inquest testimony, because that's all available online. So that's a good suggestion for people too.
Yeah.
She had
Yeah.
motive and opportunity. We can't ignore that.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, and she didn't run out of the house scared at all. She sent the maid.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't you, then wouldn't in your mind think the killer's somewhere in the house? Would you stay
Yes, I
there?
gotta get out. I'm gonna get outside.
Yeah, you know.
Of course.
I don't
I'd
know.
be
There was
scared,
just a lot of little details that add up. All
Yeah.
circumstantial though.
Mhm.
She would not have been acquitted
Right.
if she were a man, because they would think a man capable of that act. Not a
Right.
woman.
But no
1890
direct evidence, so I don't know.
No. All people have gone to the gallows for circumstantial evidence, and
True.
you know, they really didn't have enough evidence to convict her. But I think if she were male or somebody really of unsavory character, then she would have been convicted. Ah, there's Abby, as she was found.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, after all these years, it's still horrific because it happened in a town, a hometown. You know, these were neighbor people. Although Andrew Borden was known to be rather severe, and he was. It is said that he was disinheriting, or largely disinheriting, Emma and Lisbeth, and he was going to give a large sum of his fortune to his stepdaughter, Abby's daughter. So there were things that might have been the breaking point for her.
Abby didn't have a daughter.
Oh no, who was he giving it to? It's some connection to Abby. He was going to
Oh, I
give
know
a
it.
lot of his
You're
fortune.
thinking about her half sister when he deeded the house to her and she let her half sister live there. That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, but all
Okay.
that happened 5 years before the murders.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for more nails in the coffin. so to
Yeah, I
speak.
understand that. With this story, the more you know, the more complicated it becomes.
Yeah. What do you think about the abuse theory?
That's
About the what theory?
Abuse theory
been proffered.
that she was.
I believe it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it. It's not something you could ever prove, but I totally believe it.
Mhm.
That it just reached such a
Yeah,
point.
and
She couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
it's funny because, like, I just find it unusual that almost every psychic that goes through the house picks up on that.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I was with a psychic person who did, and she was saying
yeah.
that's before I heard that bantered around. She said, she was sexually abused.
And if you believe that part of a haunting, it's an imprint left by a living person, which usually comes out of trauma, excitement, some sort of a burst of energy. So, or, a prolonged something that really is going to leave a mark literally on the house. And that would make sense that was what the psychics picked up on.
Yeah.
It was considered a haunting.
Yeah. I was shown that too. So
Oh, wow.
I asked, I was always told my grandmother protects me there.
Yeah.
So I asked her if she could please show me what happened. And I
Right.
saw the whole thing. The whole thing played through my head. Not the murders, but the abuse part.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I was shown took place on the 3rd floor of the house.
Yeah.
And I saw boxes and crates in that. Now, I never knew that crates were up there, but I found out later on, like a few years later after I was shown, that there were crates also stored up there.
Ah.
All right.
Yeah. But nothing I could ever prove, Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But that is a good fact that,
But
when
there
you
is a
think it looks
correlation
this
there,
way
yeah.
and you saw it looking this way and you find out, yeah, it really did look like that. That's interesting.
Now we have a
Ah,
picture
little
of
doggy.
Lizzie in her older years.
Lisbeth.
Yeah,
Hello,
Lizbeth.
doggy.
Well, at this point, let's say Lizbeth because she would be known as Lizbeth. Hence, at this time, and that was her in Maplecroft.
Yep. Right on my wall. Got you over here, Lisbeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, same picture.
Oh my God, you guys.
And that's her, that was her favorite dog, Laddie Boy. Well, Laddie Miller, but she used to call him Laddie Boy.
Laddie Miller. And last name.
There was an uncle who was an alleged Satanist. I don't think I've heard that one. Any fact to that or any?
That was Dave Schrader's show. I don't know where they got that information from.
Yeah.
I never heard that in my life.
I'd never heard it before. And then, you know,
Yeah.
No, me either.
No.
Yeah.
this Fall River, Massachusetts. Yeah, maybe there were unsavory characters. You know, witchcraft was like 200 years before that. You know, and that's so unrealistic that somebody would. What gain would it be to be a Satanist? You know, I mean, you know,
Yeah. Highly doubtful.
for them. You know, but
Uncle John was a butcher by trade, not a Satanist. He was odd, but not a Satanist.
well, thank you. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
That's got to be Nicholas.
He wielded an axe.
yeah,
He was a butcher.
yeah. Not the squeamish type then, but still.
Mm,
Yeah. Oh,
Not a
my.
butcher of men, apparently.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. That was from the Curse of Lizzie Borden Shock Duck on the Discovery Plus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dave Schrader show. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask you before we move on to Maplecroft. Do you believe that Lizzie is still there, in some sense? So many people are interested in her. So many people have believed it and still believe that her spirit is there. What do you think?
Where? Maplecroft?
Well, let's say the house. Why would her spirit
Walking
want?
around.
Yeah. Why would she want to be, you know, at the house?
I mean, I think she appears there here and there, but is she always there? No.
Right.
Mm-mm.
How about you, Deb? Do you think she is?
No, she comes and goes, you know. And she has said that she doesn't like it when people call her over there to that house,
Yes.
but she does come and go.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah.
Easier
Yep.
for us.
Now, since you brought up Maplecroft, I know that it's been sold now to a family and they're living in it, knowing
Yes.
that it's Maplecroft, knowing that it belonged to Lisbeth. And do you know anything about the people who bought it? They have any interest in the paranormal? Did they ask her to leave, go back to the other house? You know anything?
I don't know
about
if they
it?
have interest in the paranormal. They have 3 young children.
Oh.
Yeah.
They
They
must know
do. They do know. They are very informed with her history.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it didn't deter them. I mean, it is a gorgeous house. I think I'd take the
Oh
chance
yes,
to.
look at that.
I mean, that is just
Mm.
beautiful.
Oh, I miss my Maplecroft.
Wow. These pictures are
Yeah.
bright. They're nice and bright.
Yes.
Right.
It's a splendid house.
Wow.
No, I don't think I wouldn't call it opulent, but compared to what the where she had been raised, yeah, she was
Mhm.
happy by all accounts.
That's just
You know,
Elizabeth
that's
was-
our furniture in there. Imagine what her furniture would have looked like. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
best of the best. Yeah.
Wow.
Now we were able to
Mhm.
have a swan song there. We had a tour there, very close to the end of it. You know, Maplecroft being open to the public, but we
Mm.
arranged a special tour, and
Mm.
actually, yeah, we went
Yeah, I
there
was
twice.
so glad we get to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for that. Because just being there, that's just one of those houses I could be like, all right, you guys can do what you want. I'll just sit here. I won't touch anything.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, for us, it's like, yeah, we'll talk ghosts later. Let's just look at this splendid.
Yeah, there's only a few houses that I feel like that. And one of them is that Clouds Hill that we went to.
Yes, we were just
Oh, that
talking
was
about that
beautiful.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
another field trip.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
funny.
Mm.
I got to find out. Usually around, they had a Christmas event where you go on the weekend and tour the house, and each room has a different Christmas tree. And they put out a lot of
Mhm.
ornaments, family gifts, and cards, hand drawn cards. They were so cute.
Nice.
And usually around Valentine's Day, they do wedding dresses. And I haven't heard anything about that yet. I hope they are doing that this year. Open, on the weekends, but if you can't make it on a weekend, you can get a tour during the day.
I think that should be a birthday present for you.
Could be.
No, I didn't say the exact date, but it's around.
Oh,
that
not
time.
to switch subjects. I'll get right back to that. But somebody had asked how Cody Ray was doing, and he's apparently here watching the show.
Oh, hey, Cody.
Thanks for
Hope you're
asking.
feeling better.
You feel him too. I do sense that he's with us. He's
Oh,
watching.
I'm so glad to hear
I
you
can't
doing
shake
well.
it. Yeah. No, it is remarkable because it's modern times, and that they sent him home the next day.
That day.
That
That
He was out
day.
That
He had hip
he was home
replacement.
that night because we just thought, figured he'd been overnight, and
I thought he at least stayed overnight,
They're
but they
like,
sent him
"Nope,
home the
he's
same
home."
day.
Wow.
he's young and strong, and
And he's reporting how he was feeling. He said the part that was hurting
Same
is
day.
not because that's gone. Around the area was sore, but I mean,
it was pretty funny. Us,
it fixed him.
50 and up somethings were all together talking online when their show was supposed to be on. He's the one who had the hip replaced.
I know, right?
Like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, and he's all of 30. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
So there's hope for us.
Yeah, getting back to that Clouds Hill Victorian mansion. People come from all over the world to see that house. And every time I ask someone from Rhode Island or Massachusetts, they never have any idea about it, that it even exists.
Wow.
It's incredible. I don't know what it is.
That a true
Just
story?
Maplecroft. I mean, a lot of people really didn't know about Maplecroft. As you could say Lizzie Borden, and you mentioned Maplecroft, you'd have to explain what it was.
Yeah, it
Right.
doesn't have this
She
feeling
owned
or
it
reputation.
later in life. Yeah.
But is that true, Sue? You had a blade
Yeah.
thrown at you when you were at the attic?
I was just
That was our
reading that. I don't
first
remember
episode.
it. I don't know.
That was our first episode, Sue, remember? And we were checking out the attic area and the blade came flying out. Maplecroft, yeah.
But the spirits
Okay.
warned
That was
us.
like our first.
It was
Remember he
both
warned us
you
over
that
the
were
spirit box?
imperiled.
He said,
Yeah.
look out, and I stepped back, and then a blade
really?
fell. So actually, the ghost warned me about that. Yeah.
So the spirit
They
box
did.
says, watch out, and then this.
Then a blade fell. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's something.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than one.
So even if that wasn't propelled at you, you certainly cautioned or warned it.
Right?
That's
Wow.
interesting.
Mm.
Oh wow! So somebody cared enough to watch out for you. Somebody from the other side.
Yes. Thank God.
Yeah.
Now you're paranormal investigator. I have investigated with you. I mean, I think anywhere we go, we're kind of, even if we're taking a tour of a manse, we're kind of investigating anyway.
Yep.
We know what to look for. And we got this
Mhm.
almost unspoken communication, but we
Mm.
did, investigate at the USS Salem, of course,
Yes.
last year, and that was
Mhm.
interesting. Of course, I thought we were the serious people. We formed a team, and I wanted you to. So I took us, to the other side of the ship more near the helm, and when they were getting EVP, some things in the next room, the next section, and I kept hearing, "Woohoo! Wow! Whoa! Look at it! You hear that?" I was like, "Yeah, well, maybe you'll hear more if you don't do that."
Yeah.
But I knew
It was more of a get together for them, I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides, we're more mature.
Mm.
So, but
Well, if you're there to watch and listen, I mean, it's kind of hard to do. You can't talk and listen at the same
but
time.
You were there for the disembodied voice, the woman, the female voice. Were you there that time? It might have been the time before. What have we got? What was that?
I'll read it for you because he
I
can't
was-
see without his glasses on.
No, I can.
Cody said, "I swear I heard another voice in the background. Going to go back and record it and send it to Ken. Either it's a voice or the pain medication."
Location.
Or it's Satori.
Everybody can use a little hallucinogenic now and then.
Shrooms.
Wow. Yeah.
Shrooms.
So what do you plan for your team? Is it just, catch as can and what comes along when you hear about an interesting site or when you're invited? Or do you have something blocked out, investigations you want to do over the next year? And what's
We have
up
a
for you?
lot that we have a lot that we want to do. It's just finding the time.
Yes.
Yeah, my daughter messaged me. She's like, "Oh my goodness, if you want to investigate one of the oldest farmhouses in Narragansett, you can." Then we got invited to do another old farmhouse in Cumberland. So those are on the list, probably for the winter because they're inside. Yeah, so
Nice.
we have
Colonial Inn.
those two.
Yeah.
The Colonial Inn we want to go to and do an overnight. That'll
Right.
be
Hearing
fascinating.
much more about the Colonial Inn lately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
if
then
you
of
can
course we usually
If you can only bring 2 others, if you're just doing it as yourselves, if you can only bring 2 others, you should pick her. But don't forget me either. But that's Elisa's element. She loves, obviously being a historian, love old farmhouses, old big into it, researching.
Yeah, it's funny. People will say, "Hey, have you ever been to that Conjuring house?" I'll be like, "Oh my God, it is like the coolest old farmhouse." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, the same place." I'm like, "Oh, it's got this, it's got that." And they're like, "Yeah, but isn't it supposed to be haunted?" I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
I just love the house. It's just my that's where I start.
It's like with Elizabeth Borden, it's the buildings themselves and their history. It's what draws me in. I don't need to find the ghost. And I think if you go in not expecting to see a ghost or not counting on it, you're not going to be disappointed. Anything else is gravy. If you get something paranormal, you might not even notice it at first. And that was eerie. Where did that voice come from? What did you know? The house's history, its past. And that's what Elise digs into. Like, the house in Harrisville, the Conjuring house. I don't even like calling it the Conjuring. You can't get away from that. It's simple to say. But that is the movie title, The Conjuring.
Yeah.
So right away, it has an aspect of unreality to it. And it's so fascinating to know the people who lived there and all those, the generations and what actually transpired there. You don't need to be afraid of it. Yeah, I hear the pitter patter of little footsteps when I'm there. Sometimes, an object will move, but you can't count on it. Something doesn't, every time they have an event at the Conjuring house, something strange happens because it has to. But and I've had eerie experiences there. I certainly have. But I just like being there. It feels like homecoming for me.
Yeah. We spent the night. We had a good time.
Well,
It was amazing.
Places you're looking for, you're looking to meet somebody who isn't here anymore. Basically, you're looking to meet a spirit. You're looking to meet a consciousness of someone who formerly lived there. And these people all had lives. These people all had stories. And unless you just sit back and kind of take it all in, you're not going to find anything by just, investigating is almost the wrong word, where you're going out and trying to poke and find information. You got to sit back and let it come to you. Basically.
It's more experiencing than investigating. And then your investigating just naturally proceeds. But I have had remarkable experiences in that house in Harrisville.
You have?
I have. You put them all together. It sounds like a freaky house. Yeah. Well, we should go back there. Yeah. But you have had experiences, just not there yet. You go to the real scary places like Slater Mill and,
We won't be doing that anymore, girls.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, remember I
Unfortunately.
think that's where I met both of you, was at Slater Mill when you came there. And we just right away. And I mean, I knew of you and you knew of me. And that used to be a mecca, Slater Mill. I had a lot to do with that. That turned into a very fascinating history site. And I don't know if I want to say single-handedly, but I gave it its reputation for being, one of the most haunted sites in the country. I mean, who has a haunting, when it's happening, it's the most haunted place, right? While it's going on. And people used to come from California, from Canada, people who come to Slater Mill. Yeah. But that's a bygone era now because it's been transferred to the National Park Service, the Blackstone Valley Ranger Service. So I can tour it. I just can't do ghost hunts there anymore.
Yeah, after they took over, it was in the middle of COVID when they took over, so they weren't doing any kind of tours anyway. But so we kind of tried to press them and say, when you start letting people back in, those tours were pretty popular. They not only sold out every time, they oversold every time, which was kind of a pain. But we tried to, it's a great way to raise funds for those little extracurricular. They didn't want to hear it.
Yeah,
they didn't.
I might go for that. Yeah. And Elise and I, she assisted me with the tours, and she was a natural for that because I said, why don't you help out with this because the layout of this, the campus
Ends
now.
up being the bouncer. No.
Yeah, kind of.
It was the living that gave us trouble.
Yeah, we got some stories. There's beautiful old Slater Mill. Boy, nostalgia. Yeah.
Nice picture.
I know it was a golden era. It really was. My whole tenure there, my 14 years there. I won't talk about the ghost first, although that's what I got asked about first, But it was just a nice haunting. It was spooky and scary enough, some people fled the scene, but, they had something strange happen. But you had primarily disembodied voices there in the daytime, daytime tours. I saw a few times I had to say, I was nonchalant about it, folks. You almost get used to it, you know. But I was like, yes, yes.
More during the day than at night.
Yeah, I wish we could find something like that again.
Gosh.
But
We've got a good question here, not particularly about Slater Mill, but are there any other particular paranormal locations or experiences that have been significant in your paranormal career, Sue and Deb?
Well, we get a lot of activity on when we do our channel, and when we're together too, it seems to amp it up.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, it does. We did Medfield State Hospital in Medfield, Massachusetts. It's an old insane asylum, and all the buildings are still there, built back in the 1800s. And it was built actually to take the overflow from all of the other state hospitals, but it was a small town, so if you lived there, you pretty much worked there. Like, it was a huge part of the town. And it was funny because when they brought the patients in, they brought them in on the train, and everybody in the town lined up to watch the patients walk to the facility. It was like a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
And I had gone there many times because it's amazing. It's like history preserved, and you can just walk around all of the buildings. But I had never done an investigation there, and wow, when we investigated there, it was insane.
Oh, wow.
They all came through. It was just such profound communication.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just amazing. You know, we were drawn to the building that housed the criminally insane. So the first time we went, we had started talking with them, and a man was like, I will touch her. And there were a couple of different things. And then we had to leave because we had to go somewhere. So we went back, and we went right back to the spot. And it was almost like we left off right where we had been, and the same people were coming through, and the same man. So then we went around the back of the building, and we were doing a spirit box session. And I'll let Sue tell you this piece, but she actually got kind of attacked. Every time the guy said murder, she would feel the stabbing pain in her back. You want to tell him, Sue?
Crazy.
Like, it was,
yeah.
Yeah.
We were asking about one of the inmates, and they kept saying murder. Now, whether or not that's who you're talking to, you never know. But they were saying murder. Are you laughing at my cat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's got a cat. I got Coco.
And so yeah, I kept getting this stabbing pain. So I Googled who the guy murdered, and apparently it was both his parents, right, Deb? But he stabbed one parent and bludgeoned the other parent.
Oh, wow.
So it was like somebody was trying to show me what I don't know.
the residue, yeah.
Ooh, ouch. That's
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
And then we went to the woman's excitable ward, and there was a woman that communicated with us so strongly, and I kind of saw her out of the corner of my eye. And we also had the spirit box going, and she said twin balls. And we listen because we always listen back right away to see. And Sue goes, Deb, twin balls on our shirts. Our Soul Sisters thing. I was like, oh my God. I was like, she was so communicating with us. And Sue asked, was there somebody that abused you? And she said, men. I was like, oh my God. I was so sad and I was so upset, but I was so touched at the same time. I was so touched that she came through to us like that.
Now, was that through the spirit box? Was that through a spirit box?
Yes.
Half through the spirit box, and we got one thing through the EVP, right?
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Now, both of you are kind of intuitive and can, like, you know, hear these things and, you know, sense these things. When did you realize that? Was it before you know, started doing investigations, or did you develop this as you investigated more and more?
I think mine, I always felt, you know, but I think it's gotten stronger the more that we've used it. I think it's gotten stronger for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
And you feel that they're aware that you can, are spirits always bombarding us with, you know, communications. They're trying to talk to us, trying to get our attention. Do they kind of realize when you're sensitive, if you're aware of them, like if you turn and look where they are, or if you speak to them, they kind of know
I think they know.
Yeah,
you're,
I think
you're,
so.
you're apt to
And they're
hear
like,
them.
oh, finally, somebody I can
Yeah.
talk to. She's
Yeah.
going to hear me. She seems to,
Yeah.
be thinking about me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a relief. It's a relief. It's a
Yes.
relief for them, to actually have someone that will listen to them.
Yeah.
It really, I feel so bad. We just did the Teresa Corley murder case. It was a cold case. And of course we did a lot of spirit box, and that one was a difficult case because she was with us the whole time. You could feel her. She's a very strong spirit. But because we had used the spirit box, it's funny because I had gotten a new backpack. This was after we finished the case. And I had said, I'll turn it back on every now and then just to see if you guys have anything else to say. And, the SB7 is not easy to turn on. You have to really push in that button. And I had it in a roomy little compartment in my new backpack, and it kept turning on all by itself. And a couple of times I said to them, please turn it off. I can't talk to you right now. I'm really busy. And they actually shut it off. But I ended up taking the battery out because it was really starting to get annoying. But
I
think
I've
they
used one. I didn't own one. I've used one.
To do that investigation of this murder victim, where did you go? What location? Like her house or a place?
Well, what we did was her sister is very active in trying to solve this cold case. So we sat down with her and we did an interview, and she did spirit box with us. And then she was such an amazing woman. Oh my God. She took us around to every single spot. We followed Teresa's last path. We went to every single spot that she had been at. And then we ended up at the cemetery, and we did another spirit box at the cemetery. So yeah, it was, God.
I think,
Well covered.
in a sense, you get her to live again through you for a brief period. We had a compliment to you. Somebody wrote in and said, awesome guest. And said, the show's not bad either. That's Krista Cesare. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Now, do you do a lot of investigations, or do you get a lot of information in cemeteries? I love to ask people.
Yeah, I know why you asked this.
I love doing cemeteries. I really do.
A lot of time in cemeteries, I never investigate. I'm always just cleaning them up.
Yeah.
But I hear stories about people who are just walking through visiting a loved one, and they see the woman in white walk by, and I've always hoped something like that would happen to me, but even doing investigations, I never get anything in cemeteries.
You may know that some people do that. Yeah, hi Betty. That Elise is a conservator. We've known you long enough.
What?
You're a conservator.
You conservative conservator.
You are a conservative conservator. She is conservator of cemeteries. Like she said, she maintains them, spruces them, repairs them. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a glorified landscaper.
Yeah, but you're not always like saying hello. You will say something respectfully. You greet them when you enter the cemetery.
I apologize to the leaf blower and tell them we're cleaning the place up. Hope you like it, and we leave. That's about it.
But you don't see that woman in white. You don't get all these answers in the recorder.
I really love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of these places.
Are you guys familiar with Sprague Farm in Gloucester?
Yeah.
I know of it.
So, have you been to the cemetery there?
I think so.
You planning to go back?
I got my first EVP at that cemetery.
Really?
A woman said, Monica? Yeah, I listened to it like 30 times. I was so excited because it was my first one. But then I went back again, and I had the kids with me that I worked with, and we kind of walked around. And as we were leaving, we heard a woman's voice behind us. I looked at Lauren. I said, did you hear that? She goes, yeah. She was kind of like following us out. So I kind of would like to go back there. It's an amazing story. They have the foundations from the family that lived there, and I would like to go back and do an episode there and do all the stories and go to the cemetery again. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gloucester just has so many cool places. That is a great town.
Yeah, we
Just
should start
so
going,
many
especially
old-
when I get
yeah,
my vehicle.
there's,
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's kind
Yeah.
of stuff I find. As soon as you just trip on it, basically.
That looks like it could be
Mhm.
one of two sites, actually. It looks like Ramtail Ruins. It also, there's a place off Route 12 in Situate, but it might be neither of those.
There's the
but
Dark Swamp.
The Dark
I mean, I
Swamp.
went to the Dark Swamp.
Yeah.
It wasn't dark.
It wasn't so
swampy.
dark
We
and
were trying to
swampy.
find it.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just.
Oh, the cemetery there was
There were a
interesting.
couple of
but-
cemeteries in there. There was that old abandoned car that had all weird stuff in it. There's like an old abandoned, I don't know, shack or something.
Yeah,
It's
Soul
part of the
Sisters.
North-South Trail where we went. It was pretty cool. Just
Mhm.
trading around looking for something, but we didn't find anything that day either.
Yeah.
But it's always great to get out there. I just like to be outside. So
Huh.
Mm.
Rhode Island has so many. Yeah, you don't even have to travel too far. I mean, I'll go into
Mm.
Massachusetts.
no,
You know.
not the other. I guess I got somebody else interested. The other day, my son just decided to go. I said, "Where you going?" He's like, "Out. I don't know, Newport, somewhere." He's in his 20s, and saw him later that night. I'm like, "Where did you go?" He's like, "I was walking around this abandoned mansion down in Warwick," and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool."
Oh, nice.
I like it.
Not bringing him along.
Looking on his face, he wouldn't get in trouble.
No, yeah. and Besides, he's a full
Down at
adult
Breton
now.
Point,
Yeah,
down at the Bells.
yeah.
I said,
I
"You see
remember
any ghosts?" He said, "Nope."
Hmm.
And then my other son was out, and he lives in South Dakota, and he went to visit some friends in Minnesota, and he sent me some pictures. He's like, "We're hiking. We're in an abandoned mine." I'm like, "Talk to the ghosts." But he was like, "Yeah, all right, Mom, whatever."
Mm.
I've investigated at Breton Point, but I don't have any offspring stories or any of those. You know, just
No.
other people's. Yeah. Well, you're interesting in us in some of these places that you're talking about. We've been to some of them we have not, and I know you got my attention with them. We should get together another field trip, and
Yeah.
we have that mindset. If it's an investigation, fine. It's those things. As long as you have some equipment with you, I think they're better not planned. You know, as long as you space out your time allotment. And sometimes it becomes your investigation. Sometimes it's just a really neat place to visit.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what you know. You're going to enjoy the trip. You're halfway there. You know, it's already a success.
Mhm.
Worth going.
I don't think there's any place that is too spooky for you. You went to the asylum. I mean, there's nothing that would scare you away that you think, oh no, that's got dark entities. That's ominous. You know, I mean, I don't think there is anything that would actually have such a reputation that it keeps you away. Is that true? You wouldn't be scared of it to go in any place?
I wouldn't say that. I
Hi,
mean, I
after
would
rock,
go,
that's
but
true.
Do you think that some of these things may have not have ever been human, or it might
Good
be,
question.
you know, a demon, as you might say?
I don't think I've ever encountered anything like that. But do I believe that it exists? Yeah.
Yeah, they're out there for sure.
Mm.
Yeah,
I've,
you have to be careful too. You know, when you communicate, because you never know for 100% sure who you're communicating with. So you need to really make sure you protect yourself, because you don't know.
Mm.
No, spirits
Mhm.
are under no obligation to tell you the truth, or they may not even be able to, you know, communicate to that level.
Mm-hmm.
You might just have a cranky spirit or an consciousness who was, you know, like that in life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Get off my lawn.
the
and,
bad psyche
you know,
carries over. Those bad traits
Could
stay
be.
around.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
especially you know, real bad, like a murderer or whatever, somebody who was mentally ill in life. Maybe, I don't know. How do we know if you carry that over?
Maybe there's more than one component to the
Same.
soul and spirit, because you know it's not right, it's not fair, it's not logical that insanity or misery should carry over. But spirits tend to replay these things, these emotions, these strong emotions they had in life.
Well, saying before, if some of these things are recordings from their life while
Yeah.
they were living. That you're not being haunted by who they are after they're dead. You're being haunted by who they are when they were living, the impression that they left on that location. Could be.
Mhm.
Mhm.
This
And I think
chair is so
somebody's-
squeaky, it's driving me crazy. I move.
Even though it's not an old building, there are old building noises here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have bumps and creaks every once in a while. On Monday nights, we have a yoga class here. And sometimes we'll have a yoga nidra, which, we're just laying there all in meditation, really quiet. And every once in a while, hey, did anybody hear that about 20 minutes ago? It sounded like a bell or something.
Noises replay themselves here.
Yeah, I really never get anything good. I've tried.
Yeah, at least figure that out, that the steps here, the wooden steps, it's the grain of wood, right?
They just
You get
break.
somebody walking up the steps rapidly, like, we tend to run up the stairs, and I'm heavier than she, but going up those stairs, and then we're doing the yoga class in which I participate, and then we'll hit doom, 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 doom.
Like as the steps let go,
Yeah,
they've
because
been compressed.
They've been, and then they're contracting, and they make that thump noise, and it really does sound like steps.
Yeah,
succession.
because I've noticed it doesn't happen when I'm here alone. So
Yeah, I
It
got
has
some,
to
I
be.
got some
I think you
strange
guys,
noises here alone.
yeah.
sometimes,
It's not me.
Hmm.
And sometimes somebody comes in. Sometimes the door just opens and a presence enters, and
It's usually one of the other board members.
yeah, it's the treasurer. Or something like that usually is. Hello,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
or somebody for an unscheduled tour.
yes. Just throw on a smile and show them around.
Yeah, I always
What are you
give,
gonna
I
do?
always give in to that. I said, well, we're not open for tours right now, and then I give them whatever they want.
But we will be open this Sunday, 1 to 4.
Yeah,
Anybody wants to
again.
stop by Johnston 101 Putnam Pike.
Oh, if you ladies can come, I know you always have weekend plans and your mothers, so if you want to stop by our open house, Johnston Historical Society's open house on Sunday, the 29th, 1 to 4, you are more than welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'll be at work, but thank you.
No, you will. I figured you will.
Check out some of our pictures. We have a lot of interesting pictures on the Facebook.
Hmm.
Oh, I love it.
Hi,
She showed
Anna.
us all around there.
So
It's
say
great.
hi to say hi to Adam. Adam's our biggest fan.
Oh, hi, Adam.
Adam.
He came from Colorado all the way to Lizzie's to meet us.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Yeah. Yep.
Now, if you guys had the opportunity, would you become tour guides at any other location, historical,
actually-
haunted or otherwise?
I just got hired today as a tour guide.
Where?
It's the Lafayette Durfee House in Fall River.
Okay, that's why you weren't available for the Edgar Allan Poe tribute
Ah,
dinner.
very good. Congratulations.
Lafayette.
Thank
Durfee.
you.
I know you like doing that. So,
Yeah. Circa 1750.
oh,
Okay,
nice.
then, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing.
You be able to say you'd like to share any ghost stories if you have any experiences?
I don't
there,
know if
or-
they're into that yet, but
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, come out slowly.
You
Yeah.
gotta tread light.
I
Yeah,
know. I know.
I already went off on a Slater Mill tangent. I can't help that, but I used to get reprimanded. I was kind of busted for the ghost tours until I developed a program. They started making money at it, and they got on an episode of Ghost Hunters. So then it became politically correct to talk about the ghost.
Yeah.
I was always interested in it.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see how they feel about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And chances are, they've already got people coming into tours. Is this place haunted? Because they've all seen the show.
hmm
If it was that particular building, is this place haunted? I hear it about my house and out front all the time. Not my house, but the Historical Society owns a house right out on the main road. It's a 2-family built in 1825. And first thing people ask when they walk in, is this haunted? Maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't tell them the lady lives upstairs, so she walks around with your footsteps.
Yeah. Sometimes if you're lucky, you will hear the footsteps. This is an active day.
Yeah. What was that? Did you hear that? Oh my gosh! I just noticed the time.
I know.
Oh my
I
God,
did.
what
I
went
did.
by?
I didn't want to say it. I didn't
Oh,
want to.
shoot.
But
I went by quick.
Yeah,
it does
okay,
because we're just conversing. This is supposed to be an interview. We're just talking with you.
I know.
You know?
That's That's why
It's
these are so
always
much
different.
fun.
Yeah.
And that's the
San
theory
Diego, it's always
behind the
different when
show.
money's involved. Yeah.
Panoramic perspectives, we call it, because we, it's not just our perspectives. We could sit here and talk all day, but perspectives of other people that are out there doing these kinds of things. There are people who, look at it from being a psychic, people look at it from being an investigator, being a skeptic, being a parapsychologist. It's great to see everybody's different perspective. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. We all see things different ways.
And one thing we can't get away from
notes.
is we can't get away from words that start with the letter P. Parapsychologist, parapsychology, paranormal investigation, paranormal, panoramic perspectives, photography is a little different though. Yeah. Well, we thank you so much, ladies. I want this to continue. I really do want us to get on a field trip. It's going to warm up sometime. Be that in February. Have some like
go traipsing around Gloucester days together.
Yeah.
We'll do something.
And I should be having a new vehicle soon, so then I'll be more mobile and we can all get together.
And before we go, thank you very much to Ken for things.
Yes, thank you, Ken.
Everything went perfectly today.
It's like the ether. You may not see him, but you believe in him. You know he's
waiting and watching. Chris.
I'm just somebody's imaginary friend.
That was fast. Imaginary friend.
Yep. So thank you to Sarah and to Christopher and to Adam and to who else we got? Sandy. Thank you to Cody Ray if he's still around for stopping in.
Yeah. Thank you, Cody Ray. I mean,
that was
recovering quickly. Yeah.
Thanks for the good show. A few Facebook users. That was Nick, right? One of the Facebook users. I remember that.
Yeah. It's Adam.
Yeah, all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Tell a friend. Subscribe to the channel. You've got some great shows coming up, or you can go back on YouTube and watch past shows.
You're always welcome back. I mean, I want you on in 2 weeks, but you'll always be welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Deb Vickers and Vickery.
All right.
Thanks.
Docents extraordinaire.
We'll let you go take care of your little animals.
Yeah.
We'll be back up to have more stories for us.
Crack me up with that one. Thank you very much. Ladies. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
With us.
Deb's
Deb
still.
is
No, I think she just put her phone.